The only reason we are making this video is because I've got a feeling that tonight is going to be I have a feeling that some people are gonna not like this. And partly also I wanted to make this video because the thumbnail, oh yeah, we had to get that image in there, baby. It's so beautiful. Today we are going over to a tweet made by the folks over on Bodog CA. I think if you've seen any NHL programming from the past year or so, especially if you live in Canada like I do, you've probably seen the commercials and everything for Bodog. I'm not sponsored here or anything, I don't bet myself, so I don't want to see anybody going out there in the comments, oh, Lego is endorsing Bodog. No, I'm just responding to a tweet that they had made that doesn't have anything to do with Bodog itself. They tweeted this out the other day, and it got a lot of people in the replies up in arms. Montreal Mitch? Could the Habs work a deal with Toronto to land Mitch Marner this offseason? And included is the Mitch Marner in Montreal jersey swap, and this, of course, is a beautiful image that I think warrants being seen, so I wanted to go out there and use this in a thumbnail for a video like this. But the post has 150,000 views, 268 angry replies, and a whole bunch of responses and likes as well. A lot of people in the replies pretty much saying no, they don't want to see that. And another reply, actually, I thought it was really funny. Adam went out there and responded, said, I guarantee that whoever wrote this tweet said, watch this before hitting send. And in response, Bodog has the Ryan Reynolds glancing at the camera with an evil smirk gif. So, Bodog, I don't think they're offering any wildly insightful analysis. They're not going out there and spewing any updates. They're not saying, oh, this is what we're hearing from our NHL sources. Nah, they're just bringing up an idea. Hey, could the Montreal Canadiens make this trade? And it got a lot of people discussing in the replies and on other parts of social media too. Is this actually something that could make sense? Now, I wanted to make my own video about this because, as I had said over the past few days, it's the off-season. There's nothing else to talk about. And for me personally, trying to find any topic to go out there and make videos about is almost like self-sustenance at this point, and necessary self-sustenance at that. So let's go out there and talk about the idea of Mitch Marner and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Would this be a Montreal Canadiens target? Well, let's just go out there and say it. No, it won't be. And it's not necessarily because of the lack of talent or the lack of size or whatever that Mitch Marner may have. It's all boiling down to money here. You see, Kent Hughes has done a pretty good job at doing the reverse Kyle Dubas, Brad Treliving in Toronto, where these guys have gone out there and given out big money contracts to their stars. They've given out shorter term contracts too. Nobody's really sticking around long term except for John Tavares. All the other guys, they took a few bridge deals and then they had signed long term afterwards. That was the Kyle Dubas way, and as we had talked about in a video a few days ago, Kyle Dubas admitted that this entire process was pretty much the biggest mistake he had made as the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he went out there and admitted that, so. But when it comes to Kent Hughes in Montreal, there isn't really any of that going on. Sure, not everybody is signed to a long-term 7-8 year deal. There are some guys who are on for a little bit shorter, but for the most part, the most important players on the team are signed to those extremely long-term deals, and their dollar amounts that you could say could be seen as steals if they pan out to what they could be. Now, what they could be is subjective at that point, and I guess you could say that some of these guys are a lot closer to what they could be in their primes than not. Nick Suzuki is 5 years older than Juraj Slafkovsky, mind you. But when it comes to most of these guys, Slafkovsky, Caulfield, Suzuki, the big three, all signed long-term extensions worth relatively cheap dollar amounts when you think about just how good they are and how many points they are able to get. So for Mitch Marner, he really would be a divergence from that contract style. He would be the guy making the most amount of money by far, and in a hockey-crazed market like Montreal, obviously that would be with some very high expectations attached to it. Whether he likes it or not, he's going to be subjected with some of the most harsh criticism and eyes, everybody's gonna get their eyes on him. The fans, the media, everybody who has any stake emotionally or financially, betting-wise or covering the team journalistically, Is that even a word? I don't know. Everybody's eyes are going to be on Mitch Marner, and the Montreal media world could honestly eat him up. Like, you think Toronto has harsh media? You can say they have abundant media, but is it necessarily harsh in the same way that Montreal can tear down players and prospects alike? I feel like this is an opinion that some people outside of myself hold, but partly why Montreal doesn't really have that reputation is because a good chunk of their media and social media discourse is French-speaking. If you were just able to read French, and you're not from Montreal, you're from elsewhere in North America, elsewhere in Canada, and you were able to take a look behind that French curtain as to what goes on in Montreal Canadiens media and fan discourse, oh yeah, you're gonna get pretty shocked, I'd say. Montreal media can be so terrorizing for these players and the hockey team. It's just because it's behind a curtain, you don't really see it much, and because the team has actually had some good things to look forward to over the past few weeks here, you don't see it much either. Last year, when David Reinbacher was drafted 5th overall, there was an entire media debacle about him that spanned months, and eventually it got to a point where the guy was terrorized online, his family members, his own social media, everybody was hating on him. It was really bad because he's not Matvei Michkov, so I do think that Montreal has the ability to eat players alive in ways that you wouldn't really expect if you're just looking at it from a glance on the outside. Mitch Marner already doesn't play well under pressure, and we've seen that with his Toronto Maple Leafs career so far. What more in Montreal, where not only is the pressure debatably going to amp itself up because everybody's going to be paying attention to him, but he's also going to have to be the only top-tier guy who is subjected to that kind of criticism. He's the only player on the Montreal Canadiens, if he were to get traded there, that would be making over $9 million a year, and he'd be asking for way more in the next contract that he's going to sign. This guy could be put in a terrible, terrible spot, mentally, financially, and subjectively when it comes to potential fan opinion about him if he were traded to Montreal. I think it's a terrible idea. Of course, not from an on-ice point of view when it comes to how good he is. Like, of course, Mitch Marner can be a good 90, 100-point caliber player. His playmaking would be the best on the team, and his versatility on the boards, on the right half wall, and what he does in the PK, he would be a very good addition, skill-wise, onto the team. It's just everything outside of that skill needs a lot of attention, and it's going to get that attention, maybe overly so, in an environment like Montreal if he does get traded to a team like the Habs. So, with all these Mitch Marner trade rumors running rampant over the past few months, I wanted to talk about this idea published by the folks over on Bodog and just why exactly it was. A lot of Canadiens fans, heck, I don't even know if it's all like Canadiens fans per se, that are going out there and responding poorly to this Twitter idea. Montreal Mitch, eh? Nah, sorry, I don't see it. I don't think it's a good idea at all. It might help the team on paper, but it really could take out a lot of what they want to do over the next few years, depending on the contract situation, and at the same time, I don't really know if it's going to be good for Mitch Marner himself to be subjected to that kind of treatment in Montreal. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the idea of Mitch Marner becoming a Montreal Canadien. Is that cool? Is it not? Let me know your thoughts as to whether or not you would do this trade if you're a fan of the Leafs or the Canadiens. Also, what do you think the trade price is? Like, if it's Mitch Marner to Montreal, what do the Habs give up to Toronto to make that trade work and follow through properly? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.